In this video, I'm going to show you how and where to source images from for your website, as well as delving into the licensing issues to do with getting images for your website. Because not all images are created equal, and you can't just take anybody's image, otherwise you could be violating copyright, and then if Google sees that, they can take your entire website down. Or at least make sure that you won't be found in search until it gets fixed, which can be hard and annoying. So you might as well pay attention to the rules to start out with. Of course, photography is my side gig, so I wouldn't feel right about telling people to build websites and things without at least pointing out some of these things to do with images. Now, I know I went into it a little bit in the building your website in Squarespace, but I know not everybody watched those sets of videos, and I'm going to go into it a bit more, just in a general way for sort of everybody. Now, one of the sites that I love to use is Pexels.com, and you will have seen me use that a bit on various videos when I needed an image quickly, or I might have referred to it. And this is a site where there's a whole bunch of free stock photos, so you don't even have to pay for them at all, and you can make use of them. And I like how it tells you, the most popular photos. Often I grab some of these to use. Some of these can be great. And I guess something to think of when you're choosing photos and things like that is it doesn't always have to be like a literal translation. Although I guess sometimes I do this a bit too much for Go Digital. Like if you're talking about somebody who's using Instagram or something like that, it doesn't always have to be a person with their phone or, a picture of a phone or that kind of thing. Sometimes if you're talking about how to use Instagram to grow your business or something like that, for example, you could actually show a photo of somebody on the beach being like free and happy, like over here, or even something like this. It's like, it doesn't always have to be literal, because all photos have a story to them and they create a feeling. For example, you may not use a photo like this for your business because it's a bit spooky and a little bit, what's the morning going to bring, or something along those lines. But then something like this with the sun coming through the trees is sort of like, oh, there's the light as I work out what's going on. So you could use something like that in a particular blog post. That's not to say that you can't search for things. If, for example, say you have a jewelry business and you wanted to, you'd probably take photos of your own jewelry. Should have really thought of a good example for something like this. But I guess like for my photography businesses, I take my own photos most of the time, although sometimes I want to use something to get something across. You can certainly search for something like that. So if you wanted to search for something like, woman office laptop, for example, then you can find a whole bunch of photos to help you get the idea across. You could also do something, and the search has moved to the top left here, but people talking or something like that, depending on what you're talking about or something like that, then you can get a whole lot of other options here. And to get any of these that you might like, just thinking this isn't really people talking, is it? But still, say you wanted to do something people talking, like something like this one at the top right here for a particular blog post. It's not too bad of a shot. It's the problem with Pexels, you're kind of getting people with more of a variety of skills in terms of photography, like the way this woman in the foreground, she's kind of blurred out, that's fine, but she's like sort of cutting off our main people, like this guy here. She's kind of interfering with seeing his whole body, so it's not exactly like the best shot that it could be, but it's still pretty good. And what you can do is, if you like it, you just click over here on free download, and then if it loads up again, you just right click and go save image as, and then you save a copy from there. So just go option 1. And I know I haven't given you great examples of how to use these things. It just sort of depends. If you are having problems coming up with image ideas or things to search for or that kind of thing, a couple of things that you can do, that I do, is just start on Google Images and type in a few words and see what you get back. And as I say that, there might be too much weirdness there. But the same you can do with Pexels, and then when I get into the paid stock sites, you can mine those for ideas as well. And then other things that you can do is search for your, like, a couple of keywords plus blog in, say, Google. So for example, you could sort of go people, discussion, and then plus, and then type in blog, and then you could get other people's blog posts about this kind of thing and have a look and see what images they use. So differences between discussion boards. See if there's no, that's a university site. I want a blog. Come on, I put in blog. The Free People Fashion and Inspiration blog. Maybe I'm supposed to have blog like in, so that we only get blog options back. Okay, that's just not helping me. At least we're getting something. Social Media Examiner. So you could have a look there to see what they're, to increase your blog comments. That's not what I wanted, guys. Maybe it's like this with one. I'm doing it like this so that it picks up in somebody's site that they have a blog on their site, and hopefully I'll get their blog entries. So that's, this seems to have done a bit better, except for this here. But it could be because I'm talking about something like, if I was doing, you know, technology plus blog, I would get a whole bunch of, like, see, I get best tech blogs and all these, and I could have a look at those for particular, to see what other people are putting in their posts to get an idea. Of course, it's totally up to you. You may not want to look exactly the same as your competition, and there's definitely something to that. So yeah, so that just sort of gives you a bit of an idea about Pexels. Then there's also Flickr. Flickr is not dead, so I hear. Now, there's different image licensing. I don't really want to sign up. And I certainly don't remember my login because it's been a while. But I believe if I just search, maybe like people talking, this is kind of my thing. So then we can have a look, and then there's this licensing option. So definitely you want to look for Creative Commons or commercial use allowed. Those are the ones that you're sort of looking for. And Creative Commons gives you back something. Commercial use allowed might be a bit better. Let's see, we get nothing. Okay, that's great. So Creative Commons licensing lets people use it for anything most of the time. Although just check on like what the actual, it's not too bad. Well, if I was going to use it, I'd probably crop out this guy so that the focus is here and there's not something happening over here, but that's just me. And then just check here, some rights reserved, just check to make sure that it doesn't say commercial use not allowed. You are free to share, adapt under the following terms. So you have to give the person credit, link back to the image on Flickr here. So provide a link underneath in the caption or something, and share alike, and just make sure that it doesn't say you can't use this for commercial or whatever. And that's kind of why I hate hunting around Flickr for images for business stuff if I'm not taking them myself, unless I'm looking for inspiration or something. But I just hate, you find an image that you like and then you find out you can't really use it because it's sort of hard to get the right search parameters and things like that, and wading through things. So, but that's Flickr, and I just wanted to let you know that that's there. Now there's also a lot of paid stock sites. So if you look for stock photography, so there's things like Shutterstock, Adobe has a stock thing. Some of them have like a monthly amount you pay, which gets you a certain amount of downloads per month. Others you can pay, per photo, or they have a combination of the two. There's Big Stock Photo, Pexels is there, Auto Stock Photo, Canva. I did a whole webinar on Canva. If you want to see a copy of that, let me know. But you can actually get images there. A lot of the images just cost like $1 or they're free. So there's a whole bunch of range of stuff. And yeah, there's heaps more things like that. And they all sort of work the same sort of way. Here's hoping that I'm going into the right thing here and it won't force me to sign in first, but they usually let you sort of have a browse around and you can sort of type in anything, and you can look for images and photos and vectors and editorial. And a vector is an image that can be resized without too much of an issue. You can make it bigger or smaller, and some illustrations and things like that. Footage, music, and blog. I'm not quite sure what that is, that's new, but yeah, then you can look in people talking. Really hope you actually even want an image about people talking, because otherwise this is going to bore you, but hopefully you can apply it to what you need. And you kind of see the better quality and caliber of images that you're getting, that you're paying for. And they, you can pay for them once. You might pay $10. Sometimes you might pay 30 Australian dollars, and but it's well worth it because you can keep using it and using it over and over again. Say if you wanted something like a flat lay. He's hoping. So this is this top-down kind of desk type thing. If you're, helping anybody out with anything related to their office or things like that, or even, some of these like handbags and fashion and all sorts of things, they can be great as well, and things that you can use for Facebook ads if you're selling training on something or that sort of thing. So there's a whole bunch of things that you can hunt for, and I definitely think that they're worth it if you want. And there is also another site called Creative Market. And there are other free ones out there. I just found one that I liked and stuck with it. There's other paid ones, and I've definitely paid for images. I have no problem doing that. And when it's the right image and I'm going to be using it over and over again or something like that, then you have Creative Market, and you can search through photos and business. This is probably not going to be what I want, but some of these ones in Creative Market, they'll sell you like a whole pack of different photos and things like that for $20 and stuff like that. So, there's a whole another range of images that you can get over here as well. And flat lays, they're big on those. Just watch out though that you're getting the like JPEG or like JPG or PNG images. Sometimes they'll sell things as Illustrator files and Photoshop files that you can go in and edit yourself, which is great if you know how to use that or have access to that sort of stuff, or access to somebody who can do it for you. But if you don't, then it's not going to help you too much. So just check that out. So I think, just for example, say like you can check here, there's file types and it's a JPEG, so that's good. Okay, if it's like .psd or something like that and you don't want a PSD, then definitely have a look around for the right file type. Or you can even use the button here to message the person and just ask them if you can just get the version that you want. So hopefully that has helped you out a little bit with licensing. Again, just, you know, if you're doing searches in like Google image search for a particular image that you want to use, you're likely going to find that it belongs to somebody else and you need to ask for permission and stuff. And if you're anything like me, you're doing stuff like a week ahead of time. You don't have 3 weeks for somebody to get back to you. I better get off that because it's got some of my credit card details in there. So yeah, that's kind of why I suggest some of these other sites and things like that. And the ones that you pay more for, they can be part of your collateral for your business, for, you know, your branding and that kind of stuff. So yeah, hopefully that gives you enough of an overview and gives you a little bit of an idea. Sorry, I should actually explain, like in Shutterstock, the licensing and stuff like that. For example, if you click in any of these things here, there will usually be something to do with the licensing terms here. And a lot of them you'll be able to choose like a standard license or an extended license, and just be aware of what that allows you to do and that kind of thing. And you can search for the details on some of that stuff. And I think for any of these, if you are concerned, you can always ask questions or that kind of thing. Usually your standard license should be fine, unless you're going to be like selling millions of copies or something. Although just check, like some of them have a, if it's going on YouTube, then you have a certain amount of, you know, people who can view it or something before you need to pay for the extended license. If you're worried, sometimes I just pay more just to make sure I'm okay. But yeah, that's just because sometimes reading a whole bunch of legalese gets a bit over the top, and sometimes I'm, you know, altering people's images and things like that too. So I like to just pay the extra to be sure. But yeah, now just stay tuned. There'll be one more video to go with this part of this week's stuff, and that's to do with like these images. When you get them, they can often be really large, and how to sort of resize them or do some things to them and that kind of stuff. Because Canva.com won't let you do the resizing without paying money. So I have another piece of software for that. Okay. All right. Thanks guys, and stay tuned.